everyone, welcome back to Mochi's channel. Hi everyone, so today we're going to be talking about puppyhood and specifically 5 tips to survive it. Mochi again here is sleeping next to me, so he won't be joining me here, but let's get started. So I definitely think that everybody knows that raising a puppy is super fun, super cute, and everyone's like, I want a puppy. But I also think people fail to realize how much work that really is and how frustrating it could be, especially if it's your first dog ever. So besides things like formal training, like obedience training or house training, these are going to be 5 tips that will make puppyhood an amazing time for both you and your dog and help you survive the less spoken about rough times. So the first tip I have is kind of like a mindset tip, I guess, not really something you can do, but I really would say to enjoy it consciously, because I feel like with Mochi, we got him almost a year ago, and obviously I was so happy and it's not my first dog, but there were some times where I was like, oh my god, I can't wait for him to be older so he can actually have better recall and, you know, be easier to handle, not pee all over inside the house even when I take him out every 10 minutes. But then I also think like you really have to enjoy it consciously, because that's the only time they're going to be that small. They're going to be this cute little puppy that knows nothing, that relies on you for everything. It's kind of like a human child. Like I don't have one, but everyone says like babies are super hard and they keep you up at night, whatever. Same with a puppy. But then once they're older, you really miss those times. So I would say one thing to always consciously remember is to enjoy those times, because it's not forever. You will have a really good boy or a good girl soon enough for the next 90% of their lives. But this time when they're so small and so cute and you can cuddle them all day is only so many weeks. So I definitely think that everyone should always remember before they get frustrated that this will pass and you should enjoy the good parts about it. The second tip I have is to be patient, and I actually think this is a lot less obvious than people think. So obviously everyone's like, yeah, I'm patient, whatever. But it's also really disturbing when I go on a walk. For example, yesterday I went on a walk with Mochi. I saw an 8-week-old little lab that someone, this like young couple had, and the little puppy sat down to say hi to Mochi. Mochi really wanted to say hi to him too, but I didn't let him because I thought Mochi could hurt him because he was so young. I didn't even know if he was vaccinated. And then I saw the owner with like a really tight collar just yank the dog and drag him on the street. Unfortunately, I don't speak German. I couldn't say anything to them, but that's really disturbing, but it happens all the time. I see it all the time. With a young puppy, even if it's not just 8 weeks, even if it's 8 months, 9 months, even if it's a few years old, people just forget to be patient with a dog. Again, like a puppy does not speak English. You can't communicate exactly what they're supposed to do. And the other thing is human children go through all these phases like teenagerhood with all these hormones over a few years, but with dogs, all of those 18 years of hormones and phases happen within the matter of a few weeks or a few months. So one day your dog might be this angelic, obedient dog, and the next day they're super reactive, have selective hearing, and can even act aggressively towards other strangers or other dogs. And that's exactly what happened with Mochi. I mean, around 6 months, he became incredibly reactive, like would even snap at some things. And I was super worried because I was doing all this training, I was doing all this counter conditioning, and then around 8 months, it stopped again. So this is all part of the phase. This happens to every dog. The tip here is to be patient. Obviously, don't stop training your dog. This isn't like an excuse for a badly behaved dog, but you should always be patient and not get so frustrated about like things that you really can't control and they can't control either, like they're just a puppy. And again, dogs just don't speak English, so you can't expect to communicate with them over a few days of training. This takes months and months and months of consistent training, reinforcing good behavior. So again, just be patient. My third tip would be to focus on the relationship with your dog. So again, I feel like a lot of people overlook this, but at the same time, a lot of people are doing it without realizing it. So this could be through playing with toys, hand feeding, obedience training, or just spending a bunch of quality time together like cuddling and stuff. This is the prime time to build a solid foundation with your dog for the rest of your lives together. So most dogs have 1 or 2 favorite people, and especially depending on the breed. So with Mochi, again, he's a border collie Aussie, and they're kind of known not to be the friendliest dogs towards strangers, like how a golden retriever might be or how a lab might be. And he really embodies this concept of like one favorite core person that he'll listen to all the time, and that's thankfully me. But it didn't just happen overnight. This is because I spent every single day walking him 3 times a day, training him every single day. I even hand feed him with raw food with like a plastic glove. And this sounds like so much effort, but it really pays off, because now Mochi is probably one of the best behaved 1-year-old dogs I've ever met. And it's because we have such a good relationship that when I tell him to do something, he respects me, he like sees me as like this one person, this one leader in his life. So I would really recommend just building this crazy good relationship with your dog, and everything else will fall into place because of that. My fourth tip would be to be proactive, not reactive, and this is especially true for young puppies coming home to you. So I guess another way to say this would be through an example. So if you don't want your dog to chew on things, don't leave it out. Don't leave it accessible to him, because that's just going to give him a bad habit if he does get access to it. So for example, with Mochi, when he came home, we put all of our shoes in the closet, locked it. We put all of the little items and socks, clothes, whatever, anything he could chew on, we would put away somewhere where he couldn't access it. And then things like the carpet, which he chewed on for a few days when he was a puppy, or like the table legs, we would spray with like the all-natural anti-dog chewing spray. And the reason for this is because, again, you don't want to give them a chance to even build that habit. So if a puppy has access to shoes when they're young and they realize how fun it is to chew shoes, it's going to take a lot longer to train them out of that than it would have if you had been proactive and just not even given him that chance. Because now Mochi has zero interest in chewing anything. Like it's so nice because now we can leave our shoes out, we can leave anything out. We don't need that anti-chew spray, and everything goes swimmingly. And then to add on to that, like another thing to be proactive is never let a puppy roam a house without your supervision. So I know like Zach George, another trainer on YouTube that I really like, he says that you should honestly keep your dog on a leash even indoors when they're super young, and then when they're not with you on a leash, you leave them in like a fenced in area or a crate. And I think that's an amazing tip, because again, if you let them roam, first of all, it's super dangerous. They can get into some kind of chemicals, I don't know, some cleaning supplies, and get really injured or, you know, worse. But second of all, they could be like peeing in the corner of your bedroom and you would have no idea if you were in the kitchen doing something else. And then again, that habit builds. Like Zach George says, if you keep them on a leash, you can always keep them with you. And again, you're also building a relationship if you do that. Yeah, keep them on a leash, crate train them, have a fenced in area, etc., etc. Anything you can do, just don't give them too much freedom before they've earned it. So my last tip is to get a long leash. This one seems kind of different than the other 4 tips I've mentioned, because it's seemingly just like a product you should have, you know, kind of like a normal leash or a crate or whatever. But I think a long leash is like truly a lifesaver. So by long leash, I do not mean the retractable leashes, like the flexi leash. I hate those things. I don't think anyone should use them. So a long leash is like, you can get one that's like 30 feet, 60 feet. It's just a normal leash, like I'll show it here. And so every day I see too many dog owners around like my neighborhood letting their freshly vaccinated 10-week-old, 11-week-old, whatever puppy off leash on like their first ever walk. So not only is this illegal and incredibly irresponsible, it can also put your own dog in danger, let alone another dog. So if you let an 11-week-old puppy, for example, off leash, obviously it's not going to do much harm to anyone else, but it's actually really dangerous because, for example, a few puppies have run up to me and Mochi on a leash and the owner's like, come back, but obviously an 11-week-old puppy is not going to listen to their owner with recall if there's another fun-looking dog right there. And thankfully, Mochi's never gotten aggressive with a puppy, but you never know what dog that puppy's running up to. So when Mochi was really young, he actually got attacked by a Rottweiler. We had Mochi on a leash, the Rottweiler was off leash. Just all these bad things can happen. So just imagine your puppy had run up to a dog like that Rottweiler that Mochi had been attacked by when he was young. Things would not turn out well. So if your dog doesn't have recall, you should always have him on a leash in the first place. But when it comes to a puppy, this goes up by 1,000. So going back to the long leash, this is why you need a long leash, because if you want to go on a nice chill walk and let your puppy smell around and run, just get a long leash. Like, it's the same freedom as being off leash, but with like an insurance. So as you can see in this video here, I still use a long leash with Mochi most of the time. And that's because his recall is still not 100%, it's still like 98%. But since I always have this insurance of a long leash, if he decides to ignore me and run towards something, whatever, I can just, you know, tighten up the leash and bring him back in. Thanks so much for watching. I hope if you just got a puppy, you really enjoy these next few weeks and months to come, and the rest of their lives will be so amazing. We'll see you next time. Bye.